Craig Whitfield has over 40 years experience in law enforcement and corporate security. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Ball State University. That's where my former wife went. Craig began his public service career with the Mishawaka Police Department. He served 25 years with MPD 19 as an investigator. Craig specialized in major cases, including death investigations, robbery, homicide, burglary investigations, and while at Mishawaka PD, he served in each rank up into including assistant chief. After retiring from the Mishawaka Police Department, he accepted a position with the St. Joseph County Prosecutor's Office as an investigator with the newly created Cold Case Unit, a unit developed to investigate and bring closure to unsolved homicides. He helped set up and organize the newly created unit. After retiring from law enforcement, Craig transitioned into the private sector as Director of Safety and Security for Quality Dining, one of the nation's largest franchisee restaurant companies. He spent nearly a decade protecting company profits and assets. He specialized in bar fraud, theft investigations. Craig's an author. He wrote and published an investigative guidebook for restaurant and bar owners. The book, Guess Who's Eating Your Profits? I looked it up on Amazon last night. It's still for sale. In 2013, Craig was hired by Memorial Hospital to fill an open management position in the security department. Soon after, Indiana state law changed, allowing hospitals the option to create their own police department. Craig spearheaded and fast-tracked the research needed to develop the new department, and Memorial Hospital's police department was created in August of 2014. Memorial Hospital was the second hospital in the state to create a police department under the new law. Craig and I go back many years, and that's why I'm so pleased to bring him to you. Please welcome my friend, Chief Craig Whitfield.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for the invite here today. I'm always excited to talk about healthcare policing because it's still so new in the state of Indiana. There were 28 states that had taken advantage of this type of opportunity before Indiana. But Indiana, we've been told that we do it right because we actually send officers to the police academy, and it's really specific to the types of policing that you see anywhere else in the city or the county. So Indiana healthcare has the same training as Southland PD, Mishawaka PD, the county, any police department around. And so it's fun to talk about. It's been a fun challenge. It's a nice way to end my career, I think. But it's a hybrid approach to healthcare security. And we have right now my department is staffed with 27 officers, 16 security officers, 11 police officers. They have 3 shifts, just like any other department. They have 3 shifts, captain and lieutenant on each shift. We have 2 law enforcement trainers that take care of all of our training needs, a fleet of 4 vehicles, and we respond to hundreds of calls every week. Most of them aren't overly serious, but we do have a lot of violence in healthcare, and we'll talk more about that a little bit down the road here. But we cover the Memorial Campus, Epworth Mental Health Facility, which is one of the most violent, I think, in the state, and Beacon Health and Fitness, Beacon Ranger Hospital, and I serve as a resource for all of the outlying facilities across the 3-county area. So in 2013, Senate Bill 582 passed, and I had just arrived at Memorial Hospital. And within 2 months, we were talking about, hey, what do you think about a police department in the healthcare system? And I said, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but we can do it. I think there's a lot of value in doing that because we're a city within a city, Memorial Hospital. And for example, all the penetrating wounds, shootings, stabbings, those all come to Memorial Hospital. And so we're that city within a city, and we have we've had, just last week, we had mutual combatants. One person shot another, and they're both in our ER, in the trauma base. And so you can imagine how that kind of, plays out in the end. It can get pretty dangerous, and which is one of the main reasons why we're there. But anyway, this Senate bill offered up the option for hospitals to create their own department. And so we started talking about it and figured that, with everything that's going on, like I said, with all the lockdowns and the shootings and stabbings that are coming there, that we probably ought to look at taking advantage of it. And so it allows us to have an immediate police response, a trained police response, and to all sorts of situations, and some are very violent. And but it also raises the bar for the training within the department. It raises the bar for we're trained the very same way that South Bend PD, Mishawaka PD, and the others are, at least at the academy level. And so it raises the bar, the training bar. The highlights of the law: it provides us with general police powers, including power of arrest. If we arrest somebody, we cuff them, we put them in our car, and we take them to the county jail. It's convenient and easy access to policing, to law enforcement, getting someone into the justice system. So we can do it. We don't have to. So for example, before, if we had a problem, we would have to corral the person around. And so let's just say it's a trespasser. We didn't have any authority. I mean, we could throw them out, but if they really causing a lot of problems, we would have to contact South Bend PD. South Bend PD, the response time, it depends on how busy they are. And so it could be a 5 or 10 minute wait. And so by the time they arrive, maybe the person's gone or the situation has changed. And so literally nothing may happen. Maybe a report is filed. But now we have a quick response, and we can take immediate police action, and a lot of times that ends up with somebody going to jail. But it also involves ongoing training for the officers that's provided by Indiana law enforcement instructors, which is a win all the way across the board. So our transition was about a little over a year. Once we started talking about it, I think we started talking about it in April or May of 2013, and by 1 year later, we were ready to pull the trigger, so to speak, and make the jump, take the leap, and create our own police department. And but it required a lot of research. It's one of those things. It's a bit counterintuitive. I've been a police officer all my adult life, so it's like you think, well, that's pretty simple. You just start a police department, but it's not that easy. And so, who do you ask? You ask somebody else that started a police department, because when I went to Mishawaka PD, they had been in a police department since I think 1904, so couldn't ask anybody there. And so it turns out that I had to do a lot of research and figure out all the steps that needed to be taken, and I had to ask a lot of questions. I did 2 presentations after I did the research. I did 2 presentations to the Memorial Hospital Board of Directors, and the last one, then they approved the resolution to create a police department. And once I have the green light, then we had to figure out the badge, the patch, the uniforms, the officer screening process, the agency ID. I had to get an agency ID number, which that's not really something you ask for, but one time in the life of a police department. And so I wasn't even sure how to do that, so I had to do the research for that. But academy notifications, they have to know that we're going to be sending officers there. And so there's just a lot of research. What's it going to cost? How much is it going to cost us? Those types of questions, and then provide the answers, and then we're moving on. So in August of 2014, we became. I know I said I know Tom said it's the second hospital. We were the second hospital that actually, where the board gave approval. So Tom Rhodes, he's the chief of police at Parkview Health. They always claim the #1 spot. And so their board approved it prior to Memorial by a few months. So we were always joking with one another. I said, yeah, but I was at your swearing in ceremony wearing the Memorial Hospital uniform and our patch and badge. So you go ahead and tell your story the way you want it. But we always have fun with it. But so it's either first or second. We're happy with number 2. It doesn't matter. But we've enjoyed the ride so far. But so the officer screening process is much like any other departments. We do a scenario-based training, video training. It's about 3 hours. The officer has to go watch videos, and they have to determine what type of response they would provide in the scenario that's offered up. There's a panel interview then for those that pass that test, or the panel interview, and we ask them all kind of different, again, a lot of different scenario-based questions and look for the right answers. They have to have a psych exam through a doctor, a comprehensive background check, fingerprints, and et cetera, et cetera. And so once that person has met all those, have gotten past all those levels, then it's time to go to the academy, perhaps. Well, COVID really wreaked havoc on my ability to send anybody to the academy. And so we went about 1.5 years without being able to send anybody. And of course, we had a couple departures and things like that. So we're like any other department right now. It's hard to hang on to police officers, and they're moving around. But we were able to start sending people to the academy. We're still doing it again. We have another person getting ready to go. It's 320 hours of comprehensive training at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in Plainfield. In fact, when I became the chief there, I had to go back to the academy again because I'd been retired from Mishawaka PD just long enough that I had to go back to the academy. So I tried my best actually to get out of it, but they said, nope, you have to come back and we have to train you. So I'm sitting in the domestic violence class one day, and this lady from Indianapolis, she's doing a 2-hour class on domestic violence. And so I went up to her at break. I said, well, have you ever heard of Lisa Bianco? Does anybody here know who Lisa Bianco is? So I was the lead investigator on Lisa Bianco's case, murder case. And I said, well, do you know Lisa Bianco? She goes, oh yeah, we're going to talk about her next hour. And I said, well, so I was the lead investigator on the case. She gave me the weirdest look. And I said, well, so what are you doing here? I said, well, they're teaching me how to write a report. And so, but yeah, so I had to go back, and it was fun. But they were talking about some of the cases that I had that I investigated while I was, since well, I shouldn't say 1978, but anyway, so some of the cases I had investigated during that time, they were talking about while I was at the academy, which is kind of cool. But the training consisted of criminal law, firearms training, qualifications, emergency vehicle operations, physical tactics, a lot of things like that. And it just gives us a lot of, it gives us a good general background on policing that we need. Now, we're a tier 2 academy, which thank God we're tier 2 academy, because if we were tier 1, like when I graduated from the first time, I would be eligible. Tier 1 is eligible to go to any police department in the whole state. You can transfer from this one to that one to that one, and but tier 2 is specific to certain agencies like gaming, corrections, hospital police. They're specific to those agencies. So South Bend PD or Mishawaka PD can't steal any of my employees. So that makes it kind of nice, because it's hard. We don't want to become a training ground, and so that was actually, I think, part of what we actually when they started this law and went through. I think that was one of the considerations. So anyway, this is where it all begins right here on the left. That's all the way up by the podium on the left. That was my desk, and I don't know how W's end up sitting in front, but I was sitting right up front, and we spent 8. I don't know if I should be getting any X's.
right here. No, it's computing. Oops, sorry. Well, let me minimize. I don't know why it won't let me do that. All right, Eric, you're in charge.
Sorry, you're fine.
All right. Love that people try the same thing over and over again.
Technical difficulty.
We might just have to do this.
Yeah.
I think everybody gets the idea.
We'll make it work. All right.
Advance.
There we go.
That'll work.
Okay, all right. So anyway, so I spent like 20 some weeks of my life in this building, and
Sorry again.
you're fine.
One day, someday. Share. There we go. Back to this. Now we're words.
All right, there we go. So they're getting ready to spend $70 million on this building and add another dormitory and things like that. And Indiana actually has one of the more unique academies in the United States, because they actually go there and they spend, 10, 15, 20 weeks there. And not all states are doing that anymore. So but it's like walking back in time when I went in there the second time. But anyway, some benefits realized for Memorial Hospital, or any hospital for that matter, but it's an innovative approach to hospital security and safety. And so we can provide a trained police response, for upset customers, the mother baby unit. You'd be surprised, the mother baby unit seems to be one of those areas where you would think that it'll be all happy and, and warm and fuzzy, and it's not like that. Not always. Drug seekers, the pharmacy is a sensitive area, psychiatric patients, domestic violence, trespassers, which is about half of our arrests. Personal protection order enforcement, we have, employees and or visitors that have a personal protection order on somebody, and we help them be safe, and just random acts of violence. But Memorial Hospital, our response is going to be a lot quicker than, say, South MPD. South MPD gets a call to Memorial Hospital, and they say, hey, make the heart and vascular, 3rd floor, man with a gun. Okay, how long is it going to take them to get there? And where's heart and vascular? Yeah, where is that? And which elevator do you use? Oh, you have to use the H elevator. And you don't park in the ER. You have to park all the way at the other end of the building, which you can't get in. So with us, it's like 90 seconds. So we have a 90-second response time versus the 5 to 10 minutes it might take outside police to respond to the very same call. It allows us to take that proactive approach to, in increasing, it's like losing my word right there, but anyway, you see the increasing violence in today's society, and it gives us a proactive approach to take care of that. And but did you know that workplace violence in healthcare is the #1 industry for workplace violence? Healthcare is. Did you know that? And so I read something the other day where 70% of all injuries in workplace violence is in healthcare. And so it's not surprising to know that we actually make a significant number of arrests on people for battery to a healthcare worker, which is a felony, intimidation, domestic violence, and things like that. And so we probably make anywhere from 15 to 20 up to one year we were exceptionally busy, but I think we were up to 70 arrests. And but we average about 40 or 50 arrests a year. And by ELKR, southbound PD, Mishawaka standard, that's a pretty low number. But I think most people are kind of shocked that really you make that many arrests. And well, yeah, we do. At least half of those are trespass. So trespassers, they account for a lot of the other things that go on in a hospital, like thefts and disturbances and things like that. The feeling of being unsafe. Someone sees that they clearly don't belong there, and they're allowed to roam the hospital, which we don't allow. So those are all things that help us create that feeling of safety at Memorial Hospital. But so having our own police department provides us with collaborative training opportunities with outside law enforcement. I attend a weekly meeting at the South Bend PD it's a law enforcement executive strategic meeting every week on Thursday, and we all talk about the criminals running in the community, and we're one of the partners because a lot of the cases that South Bend PD is investigating, they had to come to us for video, for copies of our video and things like that we can help them with their homicide or their shooting cases. This provides us also with the extensive ILEA, Indiana Law Enforcement Academy video training catalog, 600 videos. We owe it to our, officers, to our patients, guests, and staff to provide the best training that we can possibly get. And last year we had 600 hours of training, but we also train our security officers the very same way that we train our police officers. So there's a benefit that way. So we've had quite a few successes at the academy. One of our officers received the Top Gun Award, best shooting for the whole week. 2 officers received the Academic Achievement Award. They had the best score in the class for the whole 8 weeks. In 2019, I'm also a member of the Indiana Association of Healthcare Security and Safety. It's a mouthful, but they're the only healthcare security specific organization in the United States, actually in the world. And so I'm a member of that, and they have a program there where it's a certification program for law enforcement and for security, it's based on training, the amount of training that you provide to the officers, that makes yourself eligible for, or makes the department eligible for program and distinctions award status. So we are the first hospital in the state of Indiana to become a program of distinction. And there's only about 50 hospital departments in the whole country and Canada that have that distinction. And I'm real proud of my officers that they put forth the effort to do that, because each one had to get their own certification. I had to get the administrator certification. But so we're all certified through the IAHSS. But we're always looking for new ways to innovate and bring more value to Memorial Hospital and those that are patients there and that work there. But we just keep looking ahead and trying to reach for the best thing that brings more value from our department to the hospital. And I think that might be the last slide, and it was. So what questions do you have about all that? Yeah.
Seems like you'd be saving the local law enforcement agencies a lot of money, so I wonder if you get some funding from them.
The question is, do we get funding since we're saving so much money from South Bend PD? I wish we were, but we don't. But I will tell you this, they do appreciate the fact that we've taken a fair amount of work off their plate. As I said before, we're a city within a city, basically, and it keeps them from having to respond to the hospital much. But when we do call them, they come in multiples because they know that we need help. And so we have a very good partnership with South Bend Police Department. Yeah. Ladies first.
With the amount of cases that are coming against hospital workers or healthcare workers, do you guys do anything to help equip them with like personal safety or like self-defense techniques? Do you hold workshops or anything for them?
So yeah, the question is how much training do we provide to the associates to help them combat the healthcare violence? So I do all the training for special situation response in the hospital. That includes active shooter, just how to defend yourself in situations like that. So we do a lot of like Q&A. That seems to be the best approach for the staff. We don't actually teach the hands-on portion of it, but we do provide a lot of advice and training to help them know how to respond in situations. Yeah. I think,
Do you, have the availability or the inclination to go to any of the other health facilities if they were to require assistance from a police officer? Like, would you go to a Green Cross or to a Harmony or, ELKR clinic? I mean, would they ever engage you as a police board?
so the question is, is our jurisdiction wide enough that we could go elsewhere and provide police services? I can go to any, by law, I can go to any Beacon location and still have my authority, my police authorities. Now, I have gone to, we had a problem, and I contacted my friend Tom Shaw to help us with it. We had a person that was breaking into a shed down on Ireland Road. And so we needed to alarm it, but we ended up going down to the, prior to enlisting Tom's help, we were able to arrest the guy who had broken into the shed and was sleeping. So we can do that, but it's typically by invite. We wouldn't venture outside Beacon Health System though. Yeah, Dave.
Obviously, there was a need. That's why this was created. When you look at what's going on more recently, there seems to be a similar type of need in schools. You want to feel safe at the hospitals, so you're there. Do you see this translating in any way, shape, or form?
Translating from schools.
Well, what you do there to like a school district adopting something similar.
So you're asking me, is there a possibility that maybe the schools can learn something of what hospitals are doing when it comes to security?
Well, meaning
Yeah.
creating their own force.
Yeah. So some schools are doing that. I mean, I think Concord, Tom, we were talking about that. The Concord Community Schools, they have their own police officer. They have their own police department now. So they're allowed to do that. And so I think there certainly is value in having that. You get to provide the service based on what the community standards might be, which would be in the healthcare system for us. We have Beacon Health System has core values of trust, respect, integrity, and compassion. And so we're all bound by those core values at Memorial and Beacon. And so when we're providing police services to Beacon Health System, we are using those values. So we arrest people in the nicest way that we can. So yeah, and we try to anyway. So, but yeah, so it's good because it really does. It kind of helps you fit into your into the culture that you have there. And in a school, it's the same thing in a school. I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but yeah, it fits, and I think it allows the organization then to provide a very good service based on their needs without a lot of extra fluff. Yeah.
I assume you also have policemen here at the ELKR hospital. What's the difference between a police officer and a security officer?
So the question is, what's the difference between a police officer and security officer? We do not have police officers at ELKR General, but I would say this. This phrase I use all the time is I would tell you that police is who we are, but security is what we do. And so basically, my police officers are security officers with extra tools on their belt. The first thing that we're doing is the security and safety of the building. And in fact, if you think about it, that's what a regular police department does too. They're just basically they're keeping everybody safe and secure, right? So, and then when somebody forces the issue, makes them do their job, then they have to arrest somebody. But police is who we are, security is what we do. The main difference is just the amount of authority that they have. We've had situations before where people will, they'll push the envelope because they know it's a security officer. They know it's a security officer and they can't go to jail by, talking to them a certain way or treating them a certain way or whatever the case may be. They just know, they know where the outer edges of the envelope are. But then when police show up, a lot of things change. And one of those things is if you tell them something, then they comply. And so, or not, and then they get a free ride. So, but yeah, that's the main thing. You just truly is just the extra tools on the belt. Yeah.
How does your response change for mental health issue versus violence?
How does our response change to that? So we recognize having a mental health facility. Police officers are all required now to receive that training too on mental health response. So, but my officers are very good at it. They see it for what it is. They know what it is, and they know all the de-escalation techniques. They know how to deal with these folks, and they know they're in crisis, and so they do what they need to do to make sure that the person is treated with compassion, and respect, and we get them the help that they need. Now, if you have someone who is, you can tell the difference when they're not really you can just tell the difference when they're not having a mental crisis or a behavioral crisis. They may end up going to jail, but typically we wouldn't arrest a patient, number one. We wouldn't do that, but someone like a visitor who's just, acting out, they may very well go to jail. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Since the merger of equal, well, EGH, what is the reason EGH does not have?
The question is, why does EGH not have police officers? I would have to defer to them on that, but I know that we've had conversations before, and I know that they feel like right now that's not something they need for one. So, yeah.
What is your protocol in the ER when you have a child abuse case or a sexual assault case?
The protocol for a child abuse case or sexual assault case, we have trained nurses that know how to, they're bound by certain legal requirements to handle it a certain way. And the nurses are all certified that way. That does not necessarily involve Memorial Hospital Police Department because it happened elsewhere and they just came to the hospital. So the nursing typically the nurses are going to handle most of that interaction with the DCS or something like the other agencies that bring them in to do the investigation.
Even when the abuser brings the child?
Well, now, so we're going to intervene at that point, yes. So if the abuser's there, if the abuser's there and they're suspected of being the abuser at that time, yes, absolutely, we're going to be involved in that. Absolutely, yes. Okay, all right, well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
We have a couple of passes here for you for the well field. If you would like, you can get a hold of Eric. He'll give you a personal tour.
Very good, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
I hope you all have a good week. Meeting adjourned.